In this Dragon Age The Veilguard review, we're going to be talking about why we're actually not doing a review for The Veilguard today, why this should matter to you, and why it's important. We don't normally make videos like this on the Fextralife YouTube channel. We typically stay out of drama. You'd be hard-pressed to find more than a handful of these across the entire 3,000 some odd videos we've ever made. But what I want to talk about today is going to impact the way that you watch reviews today, the ones that are coming out today, and this information should not be kept from you. Before I get into that, though, just a little bit of background about Fextralife's history with Dragon Age. Dragon Age Origins is one of my all-time favorite games. I get asked all the time, what are my top 5 games? And Dragon Age Origins is consistently in that list. That has never changed in the entire time since I've played that game. We also made a Dragon Age Inquisition wiki in 2014 when that game launched, so we've been covering Dragon Age for at least 10 years, maybe longer. And Fex also managed to rescue the Dragon Age forums when BioWare was bought by EA because they were shutting down those forums. We got permission from BioWare to rescue those forums, export them, and import them onto the Fextralife forum. So you can still find those Dragon Age forums today on our site. We've been in constant communication with EA and BioWare for years about this title. We've been assured we're getting a code multiple times over the years. We've been in constant communication with them. They keep sending us stuff about the game. We've also been covering the game during that time with constant news articles. We've done several videos about the game. But most importantly, I think that our audience is the audience for this title. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find another channel out there that's our size that is so specifically targeted to RPGs that fits the profile for this game. So following all this, we were invited by EA to attend a preview event for Dragon Age The Veilguard in September with a lot of other press and content creators. We were by no means the only ones doing this. And after attending that event, we made our impressions video from playing the game, which has close to 300,000 views on our YouTube channel right now, which I think is one of the most viewed impressions videos for that game at this time. If you watch that video, the general sentiment is that we were cautiously optimistic about the game. We praised its gameplay, character depth, but we weren't completely sold about the storytelling in the long run, although we only got to play a very little bit of time, so we weren't entirely sure. And in general, we didn't really like the character models, the design style of them, which I think a lot of people don't. In general, it was a pretty positive impression of the video, and I want to play for you the closing audio from that video right now so you can see what we told our audience at the end of that video. I still have issues with the game, mainly that I don't like the UI and that the dialogues didn't seem to be on par with what you could get in other story-focused games that have come out in the last decade, and that I didn't yet get a point where I felt a bond or much interest with my companions who are integral to the story. It's funny that I have pretty much been playing these games for the story and getting through the combat, but I may actually be playing the Veilguard to enjoy the combat and get through the story to see the end. How everything works together and progresses into a full game remains to be seen, and there were several big and impactful events that I cannot discuss, but so far my opinion on this has become more positive, and I would like to urge anyone who loves CRPGs to hang in there and wait for reviews and not write the game off just yet. And just to illustrate how mild that our criticisms were of the Veilguard, after publishing our impressions video, we got called shills. Some people accused us of being paid by BioWare and EA to promote the game, which of course we're obviously not. I was even contacted by another content creator who had attended the event that asked me why my criticisms were worded more cautiously and asked me if I was concerned when I made my video that I'd be denied access to a review code. To which, of course, I replied, no, I'm not worried about getting denied access to review code. That simply doesn't happen in the gaming industry. But I was not concerned about this at all. I reassured him that he shouldn't be concerned about this because it's just not really a thing in the gaming industry. It's so rare that it shouldn't scare someone into not saying what they think about a game. So after publishing our video, nearly immediately, our contacts at EA and BioWare stopped replying and communication went to zero. So we started inquiring as to what was happening and reaching out to other contacts in the industry in a bit wider of a circle to try and figure out what's happening. As a result, we discovered that we were essentially getting fake reassurances that we were getting a code to keep us happy while denying us access to the Veilguard. It wasn't too long after this that I began to be contacted by other press and content creators about whether or not we had a code, and generally speaking, I get this a lot. People tend to ask me whether I have a code or not, because we generally get codes for all the big games. I'm not trying to brag, it's just simply reality. We have a large channel. We almost always get a code, and another creator or press can figure out if they should have a code right now, if they're going to get one or not, by asking us this question, which is what happened here. And we started piecing together between us that some people had codes and others didn't, including ourselves. And you might have also seen Wolfheart's tweets about this topic on Twitter or X, and Luke Stevens' video about this topic as well. Both of those individuals were with us in California for the preview event, and both of them put out preview videos as well as ours. And I think between the three of us, we probably have some of the 3 most viewed videos on this topic, or at least most commented on, I would say. And if you read those tweets and you watch that video, you can tell clearly that they also feel some way that they were intentionally excluded by EA from review access for some unknown reason, likely because of critical comments they made in their preview video, even though most of the things they said were positive about the game, just like us. And these are just 2 individuals that are speaking out about this, but we do know that there are at least a handful of other content creators and press that were left out, maybe more, that share a similar sentiment, that feel like they were deliberately prevented from giving their own opinions to their own audience about this game. It is feeling like EA is deliberately trying to prevent us from telling you what we think about the game, and they want you to hear it from someone else. So you then have to ask yourself, why would EA do this? What is their angle? What are they trying to accomplish by doing this? After the previews came out, I think it became very apparent that most of the people who were still interested in Veilguard after watching the previews were waiting for reviews to make their final decision about whether or not to purchase the game. If you just read comments in any YouTube video about the Veilguard or look at the poll on our community page, you can see that the vast majority of people that are still interested are waiting for reviews. Looking at this, EA's marketing team probably saw this and decided that they needed to make the reviews as positive as possible, trying to exclude those that might, give the game a 7 or an 8, while also reaching out and finding press and content creators that would maybe give the game a 9 or above. Just think about this for a second. If you're on the EA end and you're trying to manipulate review scores because you want high review scores, what are you going to do? You're going to research press and content creators and what they usually give to games score-wise to give you a general idea of how they're going to review your game. For us, we never give games 10s. 9s are extremely rare. Most games we give reviews to fall somewhere in the 7 or 8 range, while other places, you know who they are, always give 9s and 10s, and frankly, it's hard to take them seriously. And this is why I made this video. Because you guys told us in no uncertain terms that you're waiting for reviews, and you're about to get a bunch of reviews that have been curated by the publisher for their likelihood of being extremely positive in an attempt to manipulate your view of Dragon Age The Veilguard. They want you to think there is a universal consensus that the game is amazing, thereby convincing you that you should try it, but also influencing future review scores, as it's difficult to be the outlier. If you've ever done a review for a game or for something, you'll realize that if you're the only one giving a high review score when everyone else is giving it a low review score, it's difficult. Or if you're the only one giving it a low review score and everyone else is giving it a high review score, it's a very difficult position to be in. So if you see a bunch of positive review scores come out today, think about all the people that are going to be playing afterward and how much pressure they're going to feel to give the game slightly better score than they would have given it, just to avoid maybe some undue pressure. And sometimes that doesn't even happen consciously, it's just done subconsciously. And I want to be very clear here that I don't think that the press and creators publishing their videos early are going to be lying. However, these reviewers have been screened to maximize the chances that you're seeing positive reviews. There will probably be some exceptions, of course. I don't think everyone's going to give the game a positive review. But EA is banking that those are few and far between in an attempt to keep the aggregate score of the game high. This has only happened one other time that I'm aware of in the some 10-odd years I've been doing this, and that is with Cyberpunk 2077, which followed a similar pattern where we were constantly reassured we were getting a code for years but never got one, and suddenly reviews were out and everyone was praising the game, giving it 9s and 10s, except one journalist who dared to give it an 8 and was ripped to shreds for it. But then the fans got their hands on the game, and well, you know the rest. It wasn't what was promised, and we were forced to make one of the most disappointed videos I've ever made in my gaming career. However, in the case of CD Projekt Red, they owned their shit, and the game is in a much better place now, though they lost trust by what happened with that game. And in CD Projekt Red's case, they had already garnered quite a positive reputation, so they survived the backlash. However, neither BioWare or EA have shining reputations in the gaming industry, and many people think this is BioWare's last chance to prove they still have it. This is the worst possible start to demonstrating whether or not that is true. So what does this mean for Fextralife? Honestly, nothing has changed. I'm going to buy the game, I'm going to make our review, and I'm going to like the game or not based on the merit of the game, same as we've always done. I'm not going to let EA's bullshit influence our review or its score. We decided to make this video after some deliberation for you, the viewer, because we couldn't in good conscience let this pass without saying something and let you be duped into thinking this title is one way when it in fact may be completely different. There are a lot of moving parts behind the scenes in the gaming industry that you will likely never know about, such as executives for publishers getting bonuses based on review scores, with higher score being bigger bonuses. Maybe you didn't know that. The tactic that EA has taken with Dragon Age The Veilguard may prove to be successful, but should be entirely unnecessary if the game is in fact good. But it's not good for you, the consumer, and because they did this, you should not purchase the game based on initial reviews, but instead wait for players to get their hands on the game and tell you how things actually are, so that there is a true consensus, not one that is manufactured by a large corporation who clearly doesn't care about its community or community members, but in fact only cares about the bottom line. And believe me when I say that I would much rather be publishing a Dragon Age The Veilguard review today rather than this video. This is not a video that I really wanted to make, but I thought it was very important to get this information out to you. And again, no disrespect to any content creators or press out there that are putting out their reviews today. This video is not aimed at attacking them in any way. It's simply aimed at informing you about what is going on with Dragon Age The Veilguard and why you might want to take these things into account when you're watching reviews today and tomorrow.